He's Pat Forde from Yahoo Sports. Had a busy day yesterday, breaking the Arkansas story. I don't know where we're going with Tennessee, but we'll get Pat's update on that as well. Where do you want to start, Pat?
We can start. We can start with Tennessee if you want, or we can start with Arkansas. Either one.
Well, Tennessee is evolving now with news with Mike Gundy. Now there's a report that he is not the guy for Tennessee, and it looks like Charlie Strong is back on the front burner, the Louisville coach with Tennessee. You got an update for us?
I think there's some grappling going on with Charlie Strong right now. Louisville, I think, felt pretty confident last night he was going to stay. I think they still feel confident. I think there's some discussions right now about possibly renegotiating his contract. Tennessee, I do believe, is putting on full court press today to try to get Charlie. Hopefully we get a resolution or a decision on that today. If he does stay, Tennessee may be looking at Larry Fedora, who's only done 1 year at North Carolina. And if it goes past Larry Fedora, the entire state of Tennessee will melt down.
Okay. I thought that John Gruden and his agent reached out to Tennessee just to get an offer. I didn't. And now, look, I know he's been there. I know he met his wife there. I know he loves Rocky Top and all of that. But I still look at John Gruden as an NFL coach. Was there any chance he was going to Tennessee?
I never thought so. Maybe he led those people to believe there was. But, he was one of those guys, you may get the hook in him, but you got to get him in the boat. And he hadn't gotten in anybody's boat in a long time. I wouldn't have believed it until he was standing behind a podium with an orange tie on. I was never going to buy that.
Who made the better coaching hire yesterday, Auburn or Arkansas?
Oh, Arkansas, I think. And Gus Malzahn may turn out to be terrific, but we know that Brett Bielema is pretty darn good. 68-24, 3 straight Rose Bowls, 4 10-win seasons. It's a little bit fish out of water in terms of going upper Midwest to the South, but I think in terms of proven quantity as a coach, he's definitely the better hire. He's going to have to put together a staff that can recruit the South, but I think he can do that, and they're going to give him money to put together a good staff.
Why did Brett leave Wisconsin?
I think a couple of reasons. For one, I think he was a little bit stung by some of the criticism this year. They'd been awfully good, and they backslid to 7-5, and going into that Big Ten game, everybody, was kind of down on him up there. I think he never felt like he was able to get out of Barry Alvarez's shadow. Not only was he the guy that built the program, but he was also his boss. He was still there in town. I think maybe just the allure of coaching in the SEC and going ahead and trying to match wits down there at $3.2 million a year for 6 years, probably pretty attractive.
Urban Meyer going to the Big Ten, what kind of let me start with that. The impact that he's had, obviously first year with the team going undefeated, but just on other programs looking at Urban Meyer in the Big Ten.
Oh, yeah.
Has he changed the philosophy of the Big Ten?
Well, I think that might have been another factor, too, in Brett Bielema's thinking is, if I didn't beat him this year, when am I going to beat him? I think from that standpoint, from a recruiting standpoint, because he's going to be able to go south to get players, Michigan has been trying to do that more. I think in an effort to get better quality players. You can't necessarily just recruit the upper Midwest and win as big as you want to win. We'll see about style of play. If more people start gravitating towards the spread offense that Urban has run very successfully. But he's already, for a guy who's only been there for a year, he's had a very big impact already.
If Ohio State wasn't on probation and, they won the Big Ten title game, they playing for the national title?
I don't think so. It would be, we would have the argument of all arguments.
Really?
Well, look at their schedule. They didn't beat anybody.
Well, okay, wait a minute. Who did Alabama beat?
12-1 Georgia, or 11-1 Georgia. They destroyed Michigan more handily than Ohio State did.
Okay.
LSU in Baton Rouge.
Yep.
So I'd give them 3 wins that are better than anything Ohio State did.
Okay. Lost at home, Texas A&M.
Yep. No, that's definitely true. What an argument would have been for the Ohio State backers to, be 12-0 and left out.
Well, Ohio State's schedule compared to Notre Dame.
Oh, Notre Dame's schedule much better.
Okay.
No doubt about it.
Okay. But you think we would have had an undefeated team not playing in the national title game?
I think it's possible. I think the computers would have tilted in favor of Alabama, and the voters would have been the thing, because I think a lot of people just almost discarded. I mean, the one poll didn't even vote for Ohio State, but I think the AP voters almost like, they don't count. So
here's what I'm nervous about this. I don't know if it's been discussed, and you would know better than I would. In 2014, is there a limit on the number of SEC teams that can play for the national championship?
Oh boy, I'm trying to remember now. I think it might be 2 out of 4, but I might be wrong.
Oh, why do they do that?
What, where you can get 2?
Well, wait a minute. They should be able to get as many as they want. If you finish in the top 4, I can't kick teams to the curb.
I agree. I very much agree with you. Honestly, I don't have my facts 100% straight on all that from the summer, where exactly that stood. But I know, I mean, the SEC was pushing hard, Dan, to make sure it wasn't just conference champions, and won the battle on that, because some people wanted just conference champions, which would have been obviously a damaging thing to the SEC.
Yeah, I think Georgia should be in a BCS game, and I have no problem with Northern Illinois qualifying to play in the Orange Bowl.
Well, they did. I mean, by rule, they did what they had to do. And they're there. I mean, they don't inspire me in the slightest. People said, well, wait a minute, you championed Boise. Well, look at Boise's resume in 2006 when they went to the Fiesta Bowl. Much better than Northern Illinois'. Poor Northern Illinois, but the problem is their biggest victory outside of conference is against 1-11 Kansas, and they lost to 4-8 Iowa.
Okay.
So there's just not a lot of meat on the bone.
I know that. But we don't like underdogs. We don't like the Cinderella story in college football. We love them in college basketball.
Yeah, well, there is no doubt there is a dual meter there. As far as we do like it much more in one than in the other. And I like I said, I will champion the underdog if I think the underdog's good. I'm not sure Northern Illinois is good, especially without their coach.
All right, final question: yes or no? Chip Kelly back at Oregon next year?
I'm going to guess, and it's just a guess. No. Because I think he would like to coach in the NFL. It was obviously down to the wire on that last year. I'm not sure that's changed much for him, so I would not be surprised at all to see him take an NFL job.
Always good to visit with you. Go back to work.
All right, Dan. Thank you.
Pat Forde from Yahoo Sports.